Failure is not your enemy, it is your servant. And one day, if you stay the course, it will kneel before your determination, your purpose, and your discipline. People don't fail because they're weak. People fail because they stop. They stop digging, they stop dreaming, they stop standing. And the tragedy is most people give up 3 feet from gold, but not you, not today, because your failure is not the end. It's the evidence that you're trying, and trying is the birthplace of triumph. Let me tell you something powerful. You were born to master what tried to break you. When you understand that, failure becomes your classroom, not your coffin. So let's build your mindset today, brick by brick, until the very things that tried to bury you salute you. Failure is the price tag of growth. Failure is the price tag of growth. That's not just a statement. It's a life-altering revelation. You see, in a world obsessed with instant success and highlight reels, we've been conditioned to fear failure like it's a disease. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. Failure is not fatal, and it's certainly not final. Failure is tuition. It's what you pay to enter the university of greatness. Nobody grows in comfort. Nothing extraordinary is ever born in convenience. If you want to live a life that others admire, you must be willing to walk a path others fear. And that path is paved with failure. Think about a baby learning how to walk. No baby ever stood up perfectly the first time and ran across the room. They wobble, they fall, they cry. But do they quit? Never. In fact, we celebrate their failures. Oh, she took 2 steps before falling. He almost made it. But somewhere along the journey of life, we stop celebrating the attempt and start shaming the stumble. We allow the opinions of others to chain us to comfort. And worst of all, we allow fear of failing to silence our gifts. But failure, my friend, is not your enemy. It's your gym. Every time you fall and get back up, you add weight to your resilience. You strengthen your decision-making. You build your emotional endurance. And that process is messy. But growth is always disguised as chaos. Flowers don't bloom without breaking through dirt. Muscles don't build without tearing. And diamonds don't shine without pressure. Let me make it real for you. Imagine you're trying to start a business. You put your heart into it. You sacrifice sleep. You save every dollar. And after 6 months, nothing's working. The numbers are moving. People are talking. Doubt creeps in like a shadow at sunset. You think maybe I wasn't cut out for this? But pause right there. That failure you're experiencing, it's not rejection. It's refinement. It's the universe asking, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to get better? Are you willing to evolve? Because success never shows up dressed in a robe, holding a trophy. Success shows up dressed like disappointment. It wears the face of frustration. It smells like exhaustion. But inside that moment, if you don't quit, something transforms in you. You stop measuring success by the applause of others, and you start measuring it by the fight you still have inside you. Do you know why most people never reach their potential? It's not because they weren't gifted. It's because they misinterpreted failure. They touched pain and ran the other way. But champions, real champions, they look pain in the eye and say, you will not make me quit. You will make me better. That's the mindset that builds empires. Take Thomas Edison, for example. He was asked how it felt to fail 10,000 times trying to invent the light bulb. His answer, I didn't fail. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work. That's not just clever. That's a kingdom mentality. That's the kind of thinking that turns breakdowns into breakthroughs. Let's bring it even closer. Look at your own life. The relationships that broke you, they taught you how to value your worth. The jobs that rejected you, they pushed you to explore your true calling. The financial struggles that almost drowned you, they taught you how to manage what you never would have respected if it came easy. Failure has been your silent teacher. You just didn't recognize the lesson. You must reframe how you see it, because failure only destroys those who define themselves by it, but it builds those who learn from it. You are not the mistake. You are the overcomer of the mistake. You are the student, not the casualty. You are the sculptor, and failure is the chisel. Every setback is shaping your future self. If you allow it, I need you to remember something that could change your entire destiny. No great person you admire avoided failure. They mastered it. They befriended it. They studied it. And in time, they outgrew it. You don't conquer failure by avoiding it. You conquer it by enduring it until it runs out of weapons. The only real failure is giving up. Because when you quit, you freeze your progress. You lock yourself into the version of you that never got to see what was possible on the other side of perseverance. But when you keep going, even with tears in your eyes, even with no applause, even with trembling hands, you step into a league most people never reach. You want to grow, then get ready to fail. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Because growth and failure are twins, you cannot separate them. The difference between the average and the exceptional is not talent, it's tolerance. The exceptional have a higher tolerance for discomfort, disappointment, and difficulty. They don't run from the price tag. They pay it because they know what they're buying is worth it. Don't personalize the pain. Don't personalize the pain. That means stop making what happened to you become the definition of you. Just because something failed doesn't mean you're a failure. Just because someone betrayed you doesn't mean you're unworthy. Just because the door closed doesn't mean you're locked out forever. But too many people take the weight of their pain and turn it into their identity. That's dangerous, because the moment pain becomes your identity, you will start building a life around survival instead of purpose. Pain is real. No one denies that. It stings. It breaks routines. It can shatter your confidence. But it's not personal. It's part of the human experience. And the most powerful thing you can ever learn is this: what hurt you is not bigger than what's inside you. The storm came, yes, but it didn't destroy you. It revealed you. It showed you parts of yourself that were sleeping. It woke up gifts. It forced clarity, and it stripped distractions. So no, don't curse the pain. Study it, respect it, learn from it, but never ever become it. Too many people are walking around wearing labels that pain gave them. I'm not lovable. I'll never succeed. I'm broken. Where did those voices come from? They came from an event, not a truth. They came from a wound, not a verdict. A breakup happened, and suddenly you told yourself you'll never find real love. A job fired you, and now you believe you're not smart enough. A business failed, and now you think you're not a leader. That's the trick pain plays. It speaks in absolutes and makes you forget your process. But you are not your experience. You are the person growing through your experience. And that difference is everything. Let's make this real. Imagine you're walking through your kitchen and you accidentally touch the hot stove. You burn your hand. It hurts like crazy. But what do? You pull away. You apply something soothing. You let it heal. You don't throw out the whole kitchen. You don't swear off cooking for life. You don't build your identity around being the person who always gets burned. But that's what many people do emotionally. They get burned in one relationship, and now every connection is suspicious. They fail one class in school, and now they say, I'm just not smart. They try one thing and fall, and now they swear they'll never try again. Pain is not a prison unless you keep living. The truth is, pain is information. It's telling you something. Maybe it's time to let go. Maybe it's time to grow. Maybe it's time to rethink, regroup, rebuild. But what pain is never saying is, you are not enough. That message doesn't come from truth. It comes from trauma. And if you keep letting pain personalize itself in your life, it will start to make decisions for you. You'll play small, shrink your dreams, and sabotage your joy, not because you lack ability, but because pain convinced you that you are permanently damaged. Look around at the people you admire. They've all been through something. Some were abandoned. Some were broke. Some were overlooked, mocked, doubted, and rejected. But they didn't allow the pain to take ownership of their name. They refused to be defined by a moment. They told their pain, you happened, yes, but you don't have the right to name me. Because when you own your identity, pain loses its power. When you choose your meaning, the memory can't dominate your mindset. Every scar has a story, but not every scar needs to define your identity. Some scars need to become symbols of survival, proof that you didn't die there, proof that you outlived what tried to break you. You need to stop hiding your scars like shame and start wearing them like armor. Let the world see, yes, I've been through something, but I'm still here. I still love. I still create. I still dream. I still show up. Here's the truth: life will hurt you, but healing is your responsibility. You can't wait for closure from people who never gave you clarity. You can't sit around hoping someone says sorry before you believe you deserve peace. That's personalizing the pain. And if you keep personalizing it, you'll start rehearsing it over and over again, until it becomes your language, until it becomes your lens. But you have to rise higher than that. There's a version of you that the pain tried to silence, but it didn't succeed. Because you're reading this, you're breathing, you're growing. That means it's not over. And if it's not over, then the pain is not your final name. You have more to build, more to do, more to become. But to do that, you must release the identity that pain tried to give you. You're not bitter. You're wiser. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. You're not too late. You're right on time for your transformation. So stop making the pain personal. Make it purposeful. Use it as fuel. Use it as focus. Use it as fire. Because what once hurt you deeply can now empower you fiercely if you take your name back. Reconstruct your definition of success. Success is not a destination, it's a definition. And the problem is, most people are living with a definition of success that was given to them by society, family, or fear. That's why so many feel like failures even when they're making progress. They've confused popularity with purpose. They've mistaken applause for alignment. They've accepted a counterfeit definition of success that doesn't match their personal calling. And when your definition is distorted, your journey will always feel disappointing. You see it all the time. Someone gets a promotion, but they still feel empty. Another person hits 1 million followers, but they still battle depression. Someone buys the car, the house, the lifestyle, but at night, they lie in bed wondering, why doesn't this feel like winning? It's because success, when defined by external standards, will always leave your soul bankrupt. Real success isn't something you chase. It's something you carry. It's when your outer world begins to reflect the peace purpose and potential that's already been growing inside you. Let me make this real. Imagine two students graduate from the same university. One takes a corporate job in a big city making 6 figures. The other moves to a small town, opens a nonprofit, and earns barely enough to get by. According to the world's definition, the first student is more successful. But what if the second one wakes up every day with fire in their spirit, joy in their heart, and fulfillment in their work, while the first one drowns in stress, anxiety, and emptiness? Who's really winning? This is why you must reconstruct your definition of success. Tear down the version that was built on comparison. Dismantle the idea that success must be loud, flashy, or viral. Don't let social media dictate your milestones. Likes and views don't mean value. Public validation is not proof of internal victory. What's the point of climbing the ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall? Success must be deeply personal. For one person, success might be launching a business that changes lives. For another, it's raising emotionally healthy children. For someone else, it's simply healing from past trauma and choosing peace every morning. Don't you dare shrink your version of success to fit someone else's script. If it costs you your integrity, it's not success. If it steals your joy, it's not success. If it breaks your spirit, it's not success, it's slavery wrapped in gold. Let's talk about pressure. The pressure show up to look successful. This pressure can destroy people from the inside out. They're constantly performing, always pretending, always projecting a version of themselves they think people will admire, all while losing sight of who they really are. That's not living, that's acting. And many are Oscar-winning performers in lives they never wanted. But when you reconstruct your definition of success, something powerful happens. You begin to move from casing to creating. You stop asking, what do they think? And start asking, does this align with my values? You no longer live for the highlight reel. You live for legacy. You show up fully, even if nobody's watching. You build, even when no one claps. You plant seeds in private because you trust the harvest will come in purpose, not in popularity. Think about a tree. When it starts growing, it doesn't compete with the tree next to it. It doesn't rush. It doesn't say, look how fast that oak is growing. I must be behind. No, it just keeps reaching toward the light, day by day, season by season. That's how success is meant to be, rooted, not rushed, intentional, not imitated. Some of the most successful people on the outside are secretly living in mental prisons because they chased a version of success that didn't match their soul. Don't let that be you. Reconstruct your definition. Let success mean peace. Let it mean alignment. Let it mean being deeply proud of the person you're becoming, even when the world doesn't see it yet. You were not born to copy anyone. You were born to carry something the world has never seen before. But that will only happen if you stop measuring yourself with someone else's ruler. It's time to reprogram your mind. Delete the metrics that no longer serve you. Upgrade your standards. Redefine what it means to win. If it brings you closer to your purpose, if it awakens your joy, if it honors your authenticity, that is success. And remember, your success will not look like anyone else's because your purpose doesn't either. Your assignment is different. Your timeline is different. Your wiring is different. So stop forcing your journey into someone else's mold. Instead, ask yourself every day, am I becoming who I was created to be? If the answer is yes, then you're already successful. The rest is just noise. Purpose is the anchor that defeats quitting. Purpose is not a slogan, it's an anchor. The force that holds you steady when everything around you is shaking. Without it, you'll quit at the first sign of pressure. You'll walk away when things don't work out in your favor. But when you live from a place of purpose, setbacks become setups. Delays become lessons. Pain becomes fuel. You don't fold because of storms, you focus through them. Purpose gives pain permission to make sense. Think about it. A woman goes through hours of labor. It's excruciating, tears, scream, sweat. But do you ever see her quit mid-contraction? No. Why? Because the purpose is stronger than the pain. She knows the suffering is birthing something, and what's coming is worth the pressure. That's how powerful purpose is. It makes you endure what would break others. It gives your fight a reason, your faith a foundation, your process a path. Without purpose, discipline feels like punishment. Without purpose, sacrifice feels like slavery. But when you are driven by a why that's bigger than your emotions, you no longer let your feelings vote on your future, because feelings will lie. They'll tell you to quit. They'll scream, you're tired. You're not good enough. This is too hard. And if you don't have purpose to override those lies, you'll start calling temporary emotions permanent truth. That's why you must dig deep, deeper than the applause, deeper than the praise, deeper than even the pain, and find your why, your reason, your anchor, the thing you would still do even if no one ever clapped for you, the thing you were born for. Because purpose isn't what you do to impress people. It's what you do because you can't imagine doing anything else. Look at athletes. Do you think they train at 5 a.m. because they feel like it? No, it's purpose. Purpose is what gets you out of bed when motivation is dead. Purpose is what makes you practice alone when no one is watching. Purpose is what tells you, keep going. There's something greater ahead. And if you don't have that, you'll confuse inconvenience with impossibility. You'll stop at discomfort and call it a sign. You'll wait for perfect conditions to act and waste years of your life waiting for permission that's already inside you. Let's bring this closer to home. Imagine a father working 2 jobs. He's exhausted. He barely sleeps. His back hurts. But every morning he wakes up and does it again. Why? Because purpose gives his pain meaning. His children are his purpose. He's not working for applause. He's working for legacy. He knows what's on the line. And when you know what's at stake, you stop negotiating with resistance. You stop entertaining excuses. You develop a new mindset, one that says, this may be tough, but so am I. Purpose is the reason some people make it out of environments others die in. Same poverty, different outcome. Same trauma, different reaction. Same loss, different mindset. Because some people remember their why. They remember that quitting doesn't cancel pain. It just wastes it. And if I'm going to feel this pain, I might as well turn it into power. If I'm going to cry, sweat, bleed, then let it be for something that matters. But purpose isn't loud. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers in the quiet, don't give up yet. It's that small voice reminding you why you started, why you endured, why you can't turn back now. And you've got to listen to that voice, especially when everything else is screaming at you to quit. Too many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack clarity. When your vision is blurry, your feet become heavy. You can't move with passion when you don't know the purpose. So they hop from one thing to another, chasing feelings, chasing money, chasing status, never realizing that success without purpose is still failure. They're running fast, but in the wrong direction. And when you're running toward nothing, you'll burn out from everything. Purpose gives you focus, and focus protects your energy. It teaches you what to say yes to and what to walk away from. It gives you eyes to see what others miss and strength to endure what others avoid. Purpose is not a luxury, it's your lifeline. The people who build empires, write books, launch movements, start revolutions, they all had one thing in common: clarity. They knew why they were here, and that why gave their life fire. So ask yourself, what are you willing to fight for, even when it's not easy? What vision wakes you up in the morning and keeps you up at night? What would you still chase, even if every door slams shut? That's your purpose. That's your anchor. And if you find it, you'll realize that failure is not final. It's just feedback. It's just a test to see if your purpose is stronger than your pressure. Because only those who understand their why can survive the wait. Rebuild your strategy, not your identity. Life will test your confidence not by taking your dream, but by attacking your strategy. And too many people, when they face failure, don't just change the plan, they begin to question their entire identity. But you were never your last failure. You are not your last bad decision. You are not the doors that closed. You are not the people who walked away. You are the vision that refuses to die. You are the fire that won't go out, no matter how hard the wind blows. When life collapses your strategy, it is not asking you to quit. It is challenging you to pivot. Sometimes the problem isn't your dream, it's your method. The goal is right. The map just needs revision. But instead of editing the strategy, many people start deleting themselves. They think, maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I was wrong. No, you weren't wrong. You were just early. You were just unprepared. You were just discovering which doors are locked and which ones require a new key. Think about a GPS. You miss a turn. Does the GPS scream at you to go back home and give up driving? No, it simply recalculates. It reroutes you based on new data, and that's what you need to do with your life. Recalculating is not failure, it's wisdom. It's learning. It's recognizing that who you are is bigger than the plan that failed. So many people get stuck in an identity crisis because they tied their self-worth to one plan. When that plan didn't work, they assumed they didn't either. But hear this. Your identity must be rooted in who you are becoming, not just what you are doing. Who you are is constant. What you do may change 1,000 times. You might change businesses, careers, cities, dreams, but you never change your value. You never change your calling. You never reduce your potential based on temporary rejection. Let's get real with a simple example. Think of Thomas Edison. Over 1,000 failed attempts before the light bulb worked. 1,000. Imagine if he had said, maybe I'm not supposed to invent. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. No, he rebuilt the strategy. He didn't change his identity as an inventor. He knew what he was building, and he was willing to try every door until one opened. That's not failure, that's focus. Or consider someone trying to lose weight. They change their diet, hit the gym, and don't see instant results. So what do most people do? They say, this isn't working. Maybe I'm just not meant to be healthy. And they stop. But it's not that health isn't for them. It's that the strategy needs refinement. Maybe the workouts need adjusting, maybe the diet needs tweaking. But your identity as someone becoming healthier, that never has to be questioned. You must learn to separate the plan from the person. You must learn to say, this path didn't work, but I still do. The product didn't sell, but I am still valuable. The business didn't grow, but I am still visionary. The relationship ended, but I am still worthy of love. Don't tie your identity to anything that can be taken away. If you do, you will live in emotional bankruptcy every time something changes. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who had the best first plan. They're the ones who had the courage to revise their plans without abandoning their belief in themselves. They're the ones who treat failure like feedback. They're not embarrassed by rejection. They're educated by it. They don't say, "Why me?" They say, "What now?" They move forward with lessons, not labels. Even in sports, the best coaches don't scream at their players when the game plan fails. They adjust. They shift strategies mid-game because the goal hasn't changed, only the method to reach it. That's how winners think. They're not married to the method. They're committed to the mission. If this play doesn't work, we call another one. If this route is blocked, we create a new one. But we never forget who we are. We never lose sight of the scoreboard we're chasing. Don't let failure rob you of your name. Don't let a detour rewrite your destiny. You can rebuild the house without burning down the foundation. Just because the walls fell doesn't mean the vision died. Just because you lost a round doesn't mean the fight is over. You are not the setback. You are the one rising from it. You are not the rejection. You are the one becoming resilient through it. So rebuild the strategy, shift the schedule, change the approach, learn the new skill, seek better mentors, move to the environment that helps you grow. But don't you ever let a broken strategy break your spirit. Your dream is still alive. Your calling is still active. Your potential is still waiting on you to try again, but this time with more wisdom, with more clarity, with more fire. Because the version of you that started this journey might not have been ready for the weight of success. But the version of you that's being built through broken strategies, through failed attempts, through real-life disappointments, that version is unstoppable. Speak to your storm like a leader, not a victim. Speak to your storm like a leader, not a victim. Because storms don't respect weakness, they test authority. And if you keep shrinking in the face of adversity, life will keep throwing the same storm at you until you learn how to respond with power instead of panic. Victims cry for rescue. Leaders command a response. And the truth is, storms don't break people. Storms reveal what you believe about yourself in the dark. You've got to understand, storms are part of the journey. There's no success story without a chapter of chaos. There's no breakthrough without resistance. The storm is not trying to destroy you. It's trying to develop you. It's preparing you to carry what you've been praying for. But if you keep responding like a victim, you'll sabotage your own elevation. A victim says, "Why me?" A leader says, "What is this trying to teach me?" A victim gets stuck in the emotion. A leader rises with intention. Think of a ship out at sea. When the storm comes, the captain doesn't abandon the wheel. He doesn't panic and run below deck. He stands firm. He watches the winds, adjusts the sails, and commands his crew. That's leadership. Leadership doesn't deny the storm. It directs through it. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It uses wisdom, focus, and mental strength to navigate rough waters. Now take that image into your daily life. Maybe your storm is financial pressure. Maybe it's betrayal. Maybe you're overwhelmed with responsibilities, kids, work, aging parents, deadlines, and no one seems to see what you carry. And in those moments, you want to fold. You want to scream. You want to blame. But here's the thing, if you speak to that chaos like it has more power than you, it will take over your life. Speak like a leader. Say to your fear, "You're loud, but you're not in charge." Say to your anxiety, "You can visit, but you can't make decisions." Say to your doubt, "You don't get to run this house." This isn't about pretending things aren't hard. It's about refusing to let hard things own you. You must learn how to master your tone in the storm, because storms don't just shake your circumstances, they test your vocabulary. What are you saying when things fall apart? Are you feeding the fear or fighting it with faith-filled clarity? Are you using words that build your resilience or reinforce your excuses? Every time you speak fear over your life, you reinforce the storm's control. But when you start to speak identity, authority, and purpose, everything shifts. Say it, "This may be my storm, but I'm still the captain. This may be my valley, but I'm still destined for the mountain. This may be a chapter of loss, but it's not the conclusion of my story." That's what leaders do. They frame the situation with truth, not emotion. Let me bring it to something practical. Imagine a mother raising children on her own. She's tired. Bills are piling. Kids are crying. Work is calling. And she feels invisible. The storm is real. But watch her. She gets up every morning, packs lunches, finds a way, stands at the stove and says, "I don't know how I'm going to make it, but quitting is not an option." That's leadership in action. That's commanding the storm. She's not waiting for ease. She's creating excellence in the midst of pressure. And her children grow up not just surviving, but learning how to lead because they watched her stand tall in the storm. Or think of the entrepreneur who launched a business and everything is going wrong. Suppliers late, no clients, bills due. Fear starts talking, You're in over your head. You should have never tried. Go back to playing it safe. But if they speak like a victim, they'll sink. If they speak like a leader, they'll pivot. They'll say, this season is tough, but I was built for this. This isn't failure, this is feedback. I'm not buried, I'm being planted. That mindset creates solutions. That energy attracts favor. Too many people want calm seas, but greatness is forged in hurricanes. You don't become wise in silence. You become wise by surviving storms. You don't become powerful through comfort. You become powerful through confrontation. Life is not asking you to be fearless. It's asking you to be courageous. Courage doesn't mean you don't feel the storm. It means you feel it and still decide to speak power. The difference between those who rise and those who retreat is not talent, it's tone. Some people speak victory even while bleeding. Some people speak vision even while surrounded by chaos. And others, with every resource available, will still speak defeat because they've trained their tongue to echo fear. If you want to elevate your life, elevate your language. Train your words to match your destiny, not your difficulty. The storm isn't the enemy, your silence is. Your confusion is. Your fear-led dialogue is. Because silence gives the storm permission to dominate. But when you open your mouth and speak as one who knows who they are, something shifts. The storm may not disappear, but your confidence will rise. Your clarity will return. Your next move will become visible. You don't have to know how it will all work out. You just need to know you're not helpless. You're not powerless. You were never called to sit down and wait. You were born to stand, speak, and command your season. When the wind howls and the waves crash, speak. When the money runs out, speak. When the diagnosis comes, speak. When they betray you, speak. When the future looks blurry, speak. Because your voice is not weak, it's a weapon. Use it. Speak to your storm like a leader. Make failure bow. Don't bow to it. Failure is not your finish line. It's your proving ground. It's not your enemy. It's your mirror. It shows you where your muscles are weak, where your faith is fragile, and where your mindset needs sharpening. But here's the truth. Failure was never meant to define you. It was meant to refine you. The problem is, most people don't want to be refined. They want to be recognized. They want the glory without the grind, the applause without the agony, the title without the trial. But failure doesn't bow to the faint-hearted. It only kneels before the one who refuses to kneel before it. You got to stand up and stare failure in the face like it owes you an answer. Because if you keep bowing to it, it'll keep sitting on your future like a throne. You'll never rise to the top if you treat every loss like it's the end of your story. Loss isn't final, it's formative. It's shaping you into someone who doesn't just chase success but commands it. Real winners don't avoid failure. They absorb it. They study it. They look at failure like a teacher, not a tyrant. Imagine a young artist who gets rejected from every gallery. People say, "You're not good enough. You should pick something more practical. There's no future in this." And after the 10th rejection, the temptation comes bow. Give up. Call it quits. But the artist refuses. Instead of bowing, they go back to the canvas. They paint with more soul. They train harder. They evolve. And one day, the same galleries that shut the door come knocking. Why? Because failure bowed, not to talent, but to tenacity, not to genius, but to grind, to the one who wouldn't break under pressure, but became bolder because of it. You see, you've been bowing too long, bowing to fear, bowing to people's opinions, bowing to that one moment where things didn't go your way, but you weren't made to live on your knees to disappointment. You were born to rise through it, to walk into every room like you're still carrying destiny, even if last season almost destroyed you. Your failure is not the headline. Your comeback is. But you'll never make the headlines of success if you keep writing your life in the ink of defeat. Take a fighter in the ring. He gets knocked down. Crowd screaming, blood on his face, pain in his body. But do you know what makes him a champion? Not the round he won, but the round he didn't stay down. He gets up, wobbly legs, bruised ribs, blurry vision. But he stands because in that moment, he's not just fighting his opponent. He's fighting the voice inside that says, "Stay down." That voice is failure, whispering lies. And every time you rise anyway, you silence it a little more. This is why you must train your mind like a soldier and your heart like a warrior. Because failure doesn't respect your dreams. It only respects your discipline. The dreamer gets discouraged. The doer gets determined. There's a difference. You can't just want it. You have to work for it when no one is watching, when the lights are off, when the results don't match the effort. That's where failure starts to kneel. Not to your wish, but to your work ethic. Let's take a relatable example. A student fails an important exam. They feel crushed. Family disappointed, friends moving on. That moment becomes a fork in the road. Either they bow to shame or they rise with strategy. The ones who rise don't wallow in the grade. They dissect it. They study differently, sleep better, find mentors. They come back not just to pass, but to dominate. And suddenly, the F that looked like the end becomes the reason they rise to the top of their class. Because they didn't worship the moment. They turned it into momentum. What about someone who started a business and lost everything, money gone, confidence shattered, reputation bruised? Most would hide, start playing small, take a job they hate just to feel safe again. But the rare ones, they rebuild. They study what went wrong. They change systems. They sharpen their thinking. They speak differently. They surround themselves with excellence. And eventually, they build something better. Not because failure left them alone, but because they stopped letting it lead. Failure doesn't kill dreams. Submission to failure does. You've got to outlast it. You've got to be so relentless that failure gets exhausted trying to stop you. You've got to be so focused that even on your worst day, there's still a fire in your eyes. Because one day, you'll walk into a room that once rejected you, and they'll say, "We were wrong." But that moment won't define you either. Because by then, you've already been defined, not by applause, not by opinion, but by resilience. You've got to walk like someone who's been through fire and didn't burn. You've got to speak like someone who's buried failure so many times that it fears coming back. And you've got to believe so deeply in the purpose of your life that failure feels small in comparison. Because you're not here to survive. You're here to take territory, to take your vision, your voice, your victory, and make it so loud that even your losses have to stand up and salute you. Make failure kneel. Not with arrogance, but with audacity. Not with rage, but with resilience. Not by screaming at the darkness, but by becoming the kind of light that refuses to be put out. Stand up now, lift your chin, fix your posture, because failure only dominates those who look like they've already given up. But when you walk like you know who you are, even failure gets confused. Even defeat backs off. Even loss starts questioning itself. That's the level you were born for. That's the frequency of greatness. That's where average ends and unstoppable begins. The world doesn't move for the weak of heart. It doesn't stop for those who cry themselves to sleep and never rise. It only honors the ones who fall and get back up with fire in their eyes and a vision in their spirit. You see, you were never created to quit. That urge to give up, that's not your true voice. That's the echo of fear trying to mute your potential. But your destiny is louder than your doubt, and your future is stronger than your failure. The ones who change the world aren't the ones who never fail. They are the ones who never let failure change them. You must understand, greatness doesn't respond to comfort, it responds to commitment. The kind of commitment that keeps showing up even when the applause stops. The kind that wakes up early, stays late, and keeps grinding when no one is watching. Because success doesn't knock on the door of the lazy, it sits at the table of the relentless. And if you want failure to kneel before you, then you must first refuse to kneel before excuses. Excuses are the language of the small-minded, but you were built for bigger, built for better, built for battles most people run from. Don't tell the world how big your problems are. Show your problems how massive your mindset is. You weren't called to chase average. You were designed to disrupt it. Let your life be the proof that even in a world full of excuses, one discipline-focused, unshakable person can rise and shake the system. And when they ask how you did it, let your story say, "I didn't quit when it got hard. I didn't bow when it got heavy. I didn't break when it got painful. I kept going until every failure bowed to the version of me that refused to surrender." Pride, do not die with your greatness locked inside you. Do not let temporary pain rob you of permanent purpose. Get up, even if you're tired. Speak up, even when your voice shakes. Keep building, even when no one claps. Because lions don't need approval to roar, and warriors don't need comfort to fight. You were not born to be hidden. You were born to be heard. And the battlefield of life will only reward those bold enough to fight with heart, not just hands. Listen to me, diamonds don't beg for recognition. They shine in silence and prove their value under pressure. So let the pressure shape you, let it sculpt you. Because you are not being buried, you are being planted. And when the roots of resilience go deep, no storm can uproot your purpose. Speak to your mountain, speak to your failure. Say, "You will not define me, you will not silence me. I was made for this." They laughed at your dream because it scared their comfort. They doubted you because your faith confronted their fear. But keep going, because one day your testimony will be their training manual. One day your scars will be someone else's survival guide. Your pain will birth power. Your loss will birth legacy. Your story will set captives free, but you must keep going because the dream doesn't work unless you do. Fall 7 times, rise 8. The comeback is always stronger than the setback. Delay is not denial. Closed doors are not curses. They are divine redirections. Don't you dare settle. Don't you dare fold. Don't you dare accept a life smaller than the one that was breathed into you. You are the storm that failure never saw coming. You are the fire that fear can't extinguish. You are the voice that silence can't erase. Don't just inspire the room, shake the ground when you walk in it. Don't just survive, dominate. Don't just dream, deliver. The world is not changed by the people who had it easy. It is changed by those who had every reason to quit but chose to keep rising. Be that person, be unshakable, be undeniable, be unforgettable. Because when you finally walk into the success that was once covered in struggle, failure itself will stand back and say, I tried everything, but I couldn't break them. That's the moment you were built for. That's the legacy you're writing now.